Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you already know, I am obsessed with my Instant Pot. I use it all the time. So today I've rounded up some of my favorite recipes that are my go-tos when I want a quick and healthy plant-based meal. You might have already seen some of these in my previous meal prep videos, but I wanted to round them up all together in one video. So if you ever don't know what to make for dinner, you can watch this video and get some quick and easy Instant Pot dinner recipe ideas. So first up, I'm making lentil bolognese in the Instant Pot. This first recipe is one of our absolute favorites. We make this at least a few times a month. We love it because it's a really high protein plant-based meal, especially if you pair it with lentil pasta. And we just love pasta with red sauce, so it's one of our favorites. Turn your Instant Pot on saute mode to start warming it up. Then add in 1 diced onion and 4 ounces of diced mushrooms. I like to cook those down in some veggie broth for a few minutes to soften them up a little. Then add in 4 cloves of minced garlic, 2 diced carrots, some red pepper flakes, and 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 cup of rinsed lentils, and 1 jar of marinara sauce. And this is optional, but I love to use these pea protein crumbles. It adds a really nice texture and extra protein in there. It's made out of organic yellow peas, but you can just leave this out of the recipe and it won't make a difference. Then add in 2 cups of water and stir it all together. Then put the lid on and press cancel to turn off saute, and then manual for 10 minutes. While that's cooking, you have to separately boil some water for pasta, and I'm heading out to the garden to pick some fresh basil to garnish our pasta with. Fresh basil is one of the best smells in the world. My go-to pasta is the red lentil pasta from Trader Joe's. It holds its shape really well compared to other bean pastas, and I like that it's higher in protein. So just boil your pasta according to the package, and by the time that's done, the Instant Pot bolognese should be ready. So sometimes I do a full natural release, but I'm trying to eat dinner before like 8 o'clock, so let's release the rest of the pressure. And this is how the finished lentil bolognese sauce comes out. It gets nice and thick and chunky, and the lentils get fully cooked in the sauce and the seasonings. Make sure you use the marinara sauce with good flavor because that's what everything's gonna cook in. And we love how the mushrooms and the pea protein crumbles give the sauce a nice meaty texture. And you can serve this over your favorite pasta, or you can save it to make lasagna out of, or anything else that requires a meat sauce. Okay, so here's our Instant Pot lentil bolognese. This is one of my favorite easy go-to weeknight meals. It's so easy to make and it tastes amazing. Cheers, sweetie.
Sweetie.
To the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
Pretty freaking good. Alright, let's start making recipe number 2. Next up, we're making healthy P.F. Chang's lettuce wraps made out of chickpeas and veggies. And this comes together in just 3 minutes in the Instant Pot. It's definitely become one of my favorites. It has really good flavor and it's just really fun to eat. So for veggies, I prepped a half of a diced onion, some sliced shiitake mushrooms, and a julienne carrot, grated some ginger, and diced up a can of water chestnuts. Once again, turn the Instant Pot onto saute mode and start sauteing the veggies. I added in a half of a chopped onion along with the shiitake mushrooms, and I let those cook down for a couple minutes in some veggie broth. Then add in the carrot, grated ginger, minced garlic, splash in a couple tablespoons of veggie broth, and the can of diced water chestnuts. Then add in 1 can of rinsed and drained chickpeas, 1.5 tablespoons of rice vinegar, a tablespoon of liquid aminos, or you could use coconut aminos to make it lower in sodium. And you might want to add in a little bit more if you're used to eating more like salty recipes. Then I added in 3 tablespoons of date syrup, and the date syrup is meant to replace hoisin sauce, which is pretty sweet, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, and mix all that together. And I'm adding in a half a cup of the same pea protein crumbles I used in the last recipe. This is optional, you can just make it with another can of chickpeas if you want, but I really like the texture that these add. It's kind of like ground chicken. Then stir all that up with 1 cup of veggie broth and pop on the lid, and you're gonna pressure cook this for 3 minutes. So after 11 minutes, I just heard the pin drop. Let's check on our concoction. Then after you take off the lid, add in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch slurry, and this is gonna thicken it all up so it's not so watery. This is optional, but I think it tastes so good with this Chinese 5 spice added in, so you can add a little pinch of that if you want, but Colin said he liked it better without it, so that's totally up to your personal taste. Then you can scoop it out on top of your lettuce cups. And top it off with some chopped green onion and sesame seeds. This is such a yummy and fun to make recipe. Super quick too, only takes 3 minutes of cook time. I've made it 2 more times since then because we just loved the way it came out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
One time.
So good, right?
Good.
Next up, we're making a loaded veggie lentil chili. This is my favorite type of chili to make in the Instant Pot because usually when you make chili in the Instant Pot, it comes out kind of watery, but in this recipe, the lentils absorb all the liquid and it comes out the perfect thickness. And I like to add tons of veggies and mushrooms in mine because mushrooms are super healthy for you. I basically try to sneak them in any recipe that I can. So heat up the Instant Pot on saute, and once it's heated up, go ahead and add in 1 diced onion, 1 bell pepper diced, a half a package of diced mushrooms. I like to dice those up really small. And just saute all those veggies down for a few minutes in some veggie broth. Then for seasonings, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of Southwest Chipotle Mrs. Dash and 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Then add in 1 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, along with 1 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. Or you could use diced tomatoes if you want it to have like tomato chunks in it. Rinse off a whole pound package of dried lentils and add those in, along with 1 can of black beans and about 4 cups of water or veggie broth. You can totally make this with just the lentils, but I'm adding in about 3/4 cup of the pea protein crumbles. And now that I'm editing this, I'm realizing that I used these in like half of these recipes. You don't really need them, I just like to add them in. Then I added in about 2 teaspoons of liquid aminos. Pop on the lid and we're gonna pressure cook this for 15 minutes with a 20-minute natural release at the end. Then at the end, add in some frozen corn and some chopped kale and mix that all together so the kale wilts. I also usually like to add a tablespoon or 2 of date syrup because I think it helps balance out the flavors, but I forgot to do it this time, but that's also really good. And that is our finished chili recipe. It is super easy, comes together in under an hour, and I like that this is like a full nourishing meal. You get the veggies in there, beans, mushrooms. It's got protein from the lentils and the pea protein crumbles, and also just tomato sauce is really good for you too. Then I topped off our chili with some avocado and some cashew cream and green onions, and it was just so good. There is nothing better than a nice warm bowl of chili. Just really hits the spot. Also, I should warn you that this recipe makes a ton of food, which is why I like to make this recipe for meal prep. But yeah, this is one of my favorite chili recipes to make, and it's gonna be perfect for fall coming up too. Next up, we're making lentil corn chowder. I created this recipe last summer because I wanted a corn chowder recipe, but I wanted something a little more filling and substantial than just like corn. So I added red lentils to this recipe and it came out so good. It's honestly one of my favorites. Any weeknight that I'm just cooking for me and Colin, I love to throw together a lentil stew of some sort because it's really filling. And since it's all made in one pot, it's less cleanup at the end of the night too. So heat up your Instant Pot on saute and then add in 1 diced onion, a few ribs of celery diced, 4 cloves of minced garlic, and I let those all cook together for a few minutes in some veggie broth to soften the celery. Then add in a half a package of diced mushrooms. I like to dice them up really small, and about 3 to 4 diced carrots. Cook those down for a couple more minutes and add in 1 cup of red lentils and 4 cups of veggie broth. For seasonings, I'm using a little pinch of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh cracked pepper. And I like to throw in some red pepper flakes for an extra kick of spice. Then I added in a few teaspoons of Bragg's liquid aminos and stir that all together. Then pop on the lid and we're gonna pressure cook this for 10 minutes. At the end, I did a natural release for about 20 minutes. I typically always do a natural release because I don't like the steam to blow all over my cabinets. Then at the end, add in about a cup of frozen corn and some chopped kale. And this is how it should look at the end. All the lentils cook down and get nice and creamy. And I like to finish this off with some cashew cream, which is just a half a cup of cashews blended up with some water. It makes a non-dairy cream. And mix all that together and our lentil chowder is ready to serve. This is one of my favorite recipes to make, especially during summer. It just seems like such a summer recipe. This probably doesn't look the best or most appetizing recipe in this video, but it is one of my favorites. Next, we're making Instant Pot Mushroom Wild Rice Soup. This is another one of my favorites. Mushroom soup is just so comforting to me, and mushrooms are actually really good for you. They're great for your immune system. They help protect you from infection, and they also have special properties to help protect against breast cancer. And not only that, but mushrooms are great for your brain health due to an antioxidant called ergothioneine. So I'll link a blog post with all this information on it, but that's why I try to eat mushrooms every day, and you'll find them in a lot of my recipes. It's great if you can even get a variety of mushrooms, but these baby portobello ones I'm using are just the easiest ones to get at the grocery store. Start heating your Instant Pot on saute mode and add in the veggies, 1 diced onion, 6 cloves of garlic, and all the mushrooms. I sliced some of these and I diced some up, so you'd get a little bit of mushrooms in every bite. And feel free to also use a blend of different types of mushrooms. And I cooked those down for 4 to 5 minutes. Then add in 3 diced carrots and 1 red bell pepper, 4 cups of veggie broth. I pretty much always use low sodium veggie broth, and 3/4 cup of wild rice, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, 2 bay leaves, and some fresh black pepper, about half a tablespoon of fresh chopped rosemary, and 2 to 3 teaspoons of liquid aminos or low sodium soy sauce, depending how salty you want it. Give all that a stir and then put on the lid and pressure cook this for 30 minutes. If you want to make this recipe faster, you can soak the rice overnight and then cut down the cook time to 15 minutes if you want to make this a little bit quicker. Then for the cream sauce, I'm blending up 1 cup of white kidney beans, a half a cup of cashews, 1 cup of water, and 1 tablespoon of arrowroot starch to thicken it all up. And then pour the cream sauce into the soup. Season it with a little bit more salt and pepper to taste. And your mushroom wild rice soup is ready to enjoy. We also love this recipe. It's super creamy, has really great flavor, the mushrooms are nice and chewy, and it's just the perfect, comforting, warm soup for fall coming up. But actually all these recipes are great for summer too, since you are using the Instant Pot, it doesn't heat up your whole house. So they're great for any season. But anyways, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know if you'd like to see more Instant Pot videos like this. I have lots more Instant Pot recipes, so let me know if I should do a part 2 to this video. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye!